Hey there, folks, and welcome back to the Grave Consequences podcast. I am Caleb B, and that's where you can follow me on Twitter. Follow Greg at xmaserati, and remember that not only are we your favorite wrestling podcaster's favorite wrestling podcast, but we are also we're the Ronald Reagan of wrestling podcasts.
I don't know where we're going with this one, but sure.
Well, that's another thing, because we're ripping off David Starr because he's a sex pest, and who cares if we rip him off now? So I was like, well, he says Ronald, or he says Bernie Sanders, so let's go the opposite way. Let's go Ronald Reagan.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to think of someone more anti-Bernie, but the most anti-Bernie person I can think of is the Clintons, I guess, because they robbed them of an election. So
yeah, the Clintons, the DNC itself, the party.
Yeah, and I think before we get, this will be the first time we ever get any, comments whatsoever on the product. I think we should state that neither of us are Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're Republican or if you're Libertarian.
Well, I will say this: I am registered Republican, but that's because libertarians that want to win run Republican, and I would like to vote in primaries.
Yeah, and that's a good strategy because I'm registered Libertarian, and watching the Republican debates was just not this election, but the previous one when Trump won. It was baffling because certain people did really well. It was the same for the Democrat, debates. I felt certain people did very well and didn't go far enough, and other people did terrible and got way further.
So, the two people who immediately spring to mind, in order, are Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Biden.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I also Yang was pretty good too.
Yeah,
ahead of his time. He's like the Dreamcast. He came too soon. People weren't ready for UBI. But then years from now, people were like, "Man, that Dreamcast had some great launch titles." And you remember Crazy Taxi? That game was awesome. Or do you remember all the SNK fighting games? But we're not a.
It's like Marty McFly at the dance in the 50s. Like, yeah, you may not appreciate that, but your kids are gonna love it.
Yeah, I've seen so many people talking about UBI since. It's interesting how things like that happen. There has to be someone that says that starts the uncomfortable conversation, gets ridiculed, and then it later, becomes a thing.
Yeah, Yang Daddy is basically like the Copernicus of this discussion.
See, I know people that wanted to vote for him. Their idea was, can I get the UBI up front, like for all 8 of your terms, and just invest it before he runs out of money?
Great. That is great, dude.
If only I could have. I mean, imagine taking like whatever.
And put it all in coin.
Yep, put it all in Doge. Or any kind of crypto, because crypto blew up a couple years ago.
Crypto has been, and it's seen another spike here recently. But the funny thing about Doge is, Elon's been all about Doge for months now, and I think they said minutes after SNL started, it dropped 7 cents.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Man, I don't even want to talk about those idiots.
SNL is stock poison. But enough about politics and SNL. Who the hell do we think we are? One Nation Radio.
We should be the only politic podcast on the thing. But I don't really have much else to say, though.
Yeah, no, and me either. I don't have much else of value to say anyway. But we are here to review the season finale of Lucha Underground Season 1. This is Ultima Lucha Part 2. And just some news for you folks. We are going to take, because this is going to air on May 27. We're going to take, about a month off and come back around the 4th of July?
Yeah, that sounds about right. We don't have it set in stone. We're both waiting for certain things to get a little bit better. Mm-hmm. We're waiting for, because I don't know if we said on the air, but you have a location issue right now.
Sort of. Yeah, I've been recording out of my car basically since March now.
Yeah, and it's getting probably warmer now, so it's going to be probably a little unbearable. And getting our schedules linked up, because I think yours is going to change a little bit. It's just been hard for both of us lately.
It's going to change, but the way things are going, it might be for the better for the podcast, to where I work a morning job. That way I could hypothetically, any of the 7 days of the week, I could record something.
Yeah, it would make it easier for both of us. So we've been on time, and I think I have something scheduled to drop this week. If not, I have to hurry up and edit a previous episode. But we haven't.
This week should be the last episode before the first episode of Ultima Lucha.
Okay, so I'm good. I don't have to edit anything right away. Good.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, we've managed to not miss an episode.
Yeah, and we are going to take a month off. I mean, for those of you listening, if you weren't watching Lucha Underground when it was airing, the first season there was nearly a year of nothing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Then the second season, after the second season, they took 6 weeks to start the third, but then they split it in half, and they finished out the third season, the first half of the third season in 2016, and then brought back the end of the third season 8 months later.
Yeah, they had a lot of, unfortunately, Lucha Underground had a lot of things going against it, even though it was a very good product. Just the way they did contracts was bad. It screwed over their talent, which made the talent not want to stay.
The state that they were on, they couldn't get viewership, and El Rey didn't give them a lot of a budget either.
And I think that was a mistake on El Rey's part, because who even talks about?
Literally, the only other thing people would know about El Rey by chance is people that liked From Dusk Till Dawn, the movie, and they're like, "Oh, it got adapted into a series onto this network I've never heard of. Let's check it out."
See, they could have brought so many new viewers just with this wrestling medium, even if it wasn't generating, that kind of money right away.
Look, I don't want to get accusatory, but I would not be shocked because Cage did appear on an episode of From Dusk Till Dawn. I would not be shocked if that happened to be the highest viewed episode of that series on that network.
We should, you'd probably be right. I mean, what else was bringing people to the El Rey network?
Who knows, man? Not a lot of people were riding with El Rey, as they said.
Well, and they didn't really, unfortunately, I think it was a lot of old school, not even old school, but just to make a product like this work, you can't really just play by, I don't want to say the rules, but you just can't do everything the way you normally would. You kind of got to be a little aggressive with it. You got to be patient, and you can't just the contracts, I think, is the thing that killed them the most, making it so the wrestlers couldn't make money elsewhere. It's like, what are they going to do while it's on hiatus? And that just, I think once, and I'm a firm believer, is that once you start pissing off your employees and you start treating your employees like crap, it does affect the product. And it anywhere. Like, I've had a job where the job would recommend, they'd be like, go to Glassdoor. If you ever heard of Glassdoor, it's great because you can see how the people working there rate the company. Well, the company I worked for, they even gave out stickers. This is years ago. It's not my current company. They'd be like, yeah, we love Glassdoor. They'd put the stickers on their laptops so everyone could see, yeah, we want you to go to Glassdoor. We want you to see our ratings. Then they laid off half the employees. And their Glassdoor rating went from a 4 or 5 to a 2 or a 3.
Of course, man. And the Glassdoor rating on Lucha Underground Management is probably a 1.
Yeah, I've seen things about how Conan was saying Conan was getting into people's ears once he found out they were fans of Conan or of Vamp. And if you have people like that politicking, and I think Conan even said people were politicking and not changing the rules, but getting preferential treatment, and it changed the booking. And unfortunately, I can see that happening in a few situations.
Yeah. But tonight we're here, and it's funny you mentioned Vampiro, because Vampiro will not be on the call tonight because he will be wrestling Pentagon Jr. in a Cerro Miedo match. But tonight, Matt Stryker is joined by Australian fight announcer Mike Schiavello. And let me ask, what did you think of Schiavello's performance tonight? Did anything stick out to you in particular?
I mean, the one thing that stuck out to me is that he was good, but he was going too fast for Stryker.
He was good, but there were a couple of crutches that I noticed.
Oh, really?
In his enunciation. Let me see. I hope I wrote one down. Because oh my god, he would lean on this a lot. Pow right in the kisser. Like anytime someone got hit in the mouth, pow right in the kisser. Oh my god, the big kibosh. He would say that a lot as well.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
See, I'm surprised I missed pow in the kisser because I probably would have laughed normally every time he said that.
Yeah, he may not have said pow right in the kisser, but he definitely said right in the kisser. I heard that for sure.
Okay.
And there was another one, but I can't remember it right now, man.
That's all right. I mean, I think he was good, but the chemistry between him and Stryker couldn't either keep up. It felt like he could have done it himself, like a Styles. What's his name from ECW?
Joey Styles. Yeah.
He felt like he could have pulled a Joey Styles where Stryker is a good announcer, I think. But this guy was kind of playing like I don't know. It's almost like they couldn't determine who was going to be color commentary, who was going to be, the play-by-play.
Yeah.
Because this guy was kind of doing both, and then Stryker was kind of like, well, he didn't take it easy. He was trying to get in there, but they probably could have. I don't know. I don't want to play, Captain Hindsight, but there was some. It's not even detrimental to the product, but they didn't really sync up as well as Vamp and Stryker.
And that's fair. Like, this is kind of a tall order. You're like, hey, Matt, you've got a new partner this week, and I know I know you've never called a match together, but this is our biggest show so far, so we need you to do your very best. Like, that's a tall order.
Very tall order, and I mean, I think they pulled it off. It was still good commentary. It's just you knew. It wasn't syncing up as well as, and there's no way it would have been incredible if it did. It is a tall order.
It's like, I'll take you back to 2009. This was when Jim Ross was on SmackDown with Taz, and Jerry Lawler was on Raw with Michael Cole. Well, Taz's contract was up before WrestleMania, and Taz left, and so their solution was, we're going to do a 3-man booth. JR, Michael Cole, and the King. And in theory, it's like, okay, those are 3, think what you want of Michael Cole. I actually respect his talent. When he's doing his thing, he is one of the best damn announcers out there. That being said, these 3 guys never called a show together in that tandem. That is a tall order.
Yeah, it's a tall order. And I gotta say, I think 3-man booths, I don't like them anywhere.
No,
frankly.
Me either.
I don't like them in AEW, even though they're all fine. I don't like it.
Fine. Jim Ross is washed, dude.
He's gotten better though. He was really good on.
Does he care? Because that's the key. He's got to care.
He cares now. He cares.
Okay, that's good.
The problem is he's getting older, and I was thinking about it, especially because I was watching this show because the new guy was really getting into it. He does care, but he doesn't care like it's Stone Cold.
Yeah.
All the time. Sometimes he can tap into it when Kenny's in there or Mox. But I mean, if you think about it, how often do you hear that in any wrestling where you got someone like Jerry the King Lawler in his prime in Attitude Era, and you got JR going, by God, this isn't right. You don't have that really intensity. I mean,
you don't get that in wrestling anymore at all, and it's a shame.
And I think that's the complaint we made about other products is that there's some intensity. Like everyone's being funny, which is fine, but I got into wrestling in the '98, watching in WWE, WWF at the time, and ECW. So I really do miss some intensity. Yeah,
and that's the thing is like, people don't think highly of like the ruthless aggression era, especially the early parts from like 2002 to 2005. But like, you could tell Jim Ross and even Jerry Lawler, they still cared, and they still had that intensity in their eyes. So even if like, okay, well on Raw you got the Chris Benoit world title chase, and like you got Everything else below it's kind of meh, but they still cared and they made the product look better than it may actually have been.
You're right. I mean, or even a Joey Styles, like it. I just, and there's no one product not doing it. It's really a lot of products that aren't doing it. Like if I go to New Japan, Kevin Kelly's really good. Really good. He does get into it. Like he'll be like, "Oh, this isn't right. This is garbage." Like he'll trash the heels so like he gets upset about the heels, and he doesn't get enough credit. I think he's really good. And JR is starting to do that in AEW. It's just I would love more. Like I want to get angry. I want them to like rile me up so that I'm angry too.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the last times I heard Michael Cole do that, to where like you could tell, like, and like, okay, yeah, he's being produced, whatever, but it sounded believable. And this was in 2014 when every bit of commentary always sounded scripted. But I take you back to Elimination Chamber 2014. We had been going on 6 months at the time of Daniel Bryan, like coming up close to winning the title. And then, someone pulled the rug out right below, from under his feet at the very last moment. Well, it happens again, and Michael Cole is yelling and yelling. He's like, it's been happening since SummerSlam, and at some point, it's got to stop. And he's like, they don't show his face, but like, you could tell he was like red-faced, vein pulsing out of his forehead, like angry. And we need more of that. We need less of, and look, Excalibur, great commentary guy, but we need less of Excalibur's, he did the deal, because who gives a shit? Like, oh, it's a Falcon Arrow. Cool. Nobody wins with that.
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can have a little bit of that. There's a healthy medium. And I do like Excalibur, and he gets animated too. Which I like. He'll get, and that's when he's doing his best work. I've always liked Excalibur. It's just we kind of went on a rant here, but. I think this show had a little bit of that, and it was refreshing. I keep wanting to call him Gino Gambino from New Japan, but like I know it's a different guy. But when I saw him, I was like, "Is that?" It's my dementia acting up.
Your Chris Benoit brain, right?
Yep, it's pretty rattled.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I guess the dogs are in the enclosed pool area.
What?
You don't get that reference, do you?
No.
That was like one of the last texts that Benoit sent to Chavo, actually.
What?
Yeah. Swear to God.
What, Chavo was asking him that, or Benoit was asking him that?
Benoit sent that to Chavo. Like when it was going down.
Huh.
Yeah. It was weird. But enough about that. Enough about Chris Benoit. As Matt Striker is leading us into the show, he does mention, by the way, this aired in August of 2015, probably filmed some point in the summer earlier. So this is about 3 months after Perro Aguayo Jr. had died in the ring in Mexico, and Matt Striker does mention Perro Aguayo in the lead up to the show as well.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, anytime someone dies in the ring, it's just it's awful. But Rey Mysterio is actually the guy that he wrestled, for what it's worth, in his last match.
Oh, I remember this now. That was a sad event. Yeah, people were. I forget, he died to was it the kangaroo kick that Rey does through the ropes?
Are you talking about the 619?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah,
I think it's called the kangaroo kick. I could be wrong, but yeah, and people were like, "Is it that dangerous?" It's like, no, guys, it's not that. He's been doing
it at that point. He'd been doing it for like what, 12 years? Like,
dude,
no.
The 619 is the weakest kick ever. Like, it don't. Yeah. It's probably the safest move you can take.
He's like grazing your face with his shins. That's all he's doing.
He's gently spinning, and he's not even like sticking. His legs are gonna bend as soon as they hit you, touch your face. Like you're. Mm-hmm. If I have to take any wrestling move, I would take that one like a billion times.
Yeah, absolutely. So After that, we have our first match of the night, and they are starting off hot. We're talking about Johnny Mundo versus Alberto El Patron.
Great match. And but we won't get into the finish just yet. But this is crazy how wrong I've been.
Did you notice how Berto got the off the jump? Berto got the advantage, and did you notice Johnny channels his inner Del Gribble to get the advantage on him?
Del Gribble?
Pocket sand.
Oh, yes. Well, Johnny finally got that to get the advantage after Alberto was brawling with him. And this whole match, I realized what my issue with Patron is, and not an issue where like I don't like him, but where I was saying his style is kind of just disjointed to me, is because he comes at people like he's brawling, and then he'll do like a super heel technical move like a William Regal or Triple H would do, where he does like a limb targeting move.
Mm-hmm.
Like he ran up to Johnny, and instead of throwing a punch, he does a MMA round kick to the outside thigh, and I was like, well, it's just he does something. I expect him to start brawling and throwing punches like Stone Cold, but then he'll do something completely different, and it just reminds me of how sometimes on the indie level, brawls will look weird, right? And I could even see someone taking an MMA fighter, and then the MMA fighter is going to do some technical strikes, some martial arts things, but sometimes a fight needs to look like a hockey fight.
Yes, absolutely.
And this didn't take away from the match. It's just something I noticed, and it's and Alberto does it the best of anybody, because I was into this. Like he does moves I like. He especially when he targets the arm. There was one where instead of slamming Johnny's head into the announce table, he was just taking his hand and slamming his hand against the announce table, which looks stupid, but it would hurt really bad because that desk is made of wood.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Oh my god.
I mean, this was an attitude brawl.
Yeah,
this is like with hardcore rules through and through. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. There was such an amazing back and forth, and the Temple loved every second of it, dude. Alberto even kicked out of Fin de Mundo. So, I mean, like, come on, man. Amazing.
It was a great match, and I think this was a great brawl, and Johnny Mundo was a part of this. And I think this match is why I felt, and why I still feel Johnny Mundo's the ace of the first season. Yeah. Because he can go in there with anybody. He had a great series of matches with Cuerno, Prince Puma, and now Patron. And is there anyone else I'm thinking? Because he's had a great match of like pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anyone he gets in the ring with. Like him and Angelico had a good one-off on an episode.
There's no type of match where he doesn't feel out of place. Like sometimes we'll take some of these guys and we'll have a brawl, and they're just doing spots. You know what I mean? And it don't feel like a brawl. Mundo went in there and it felt like a brawl.
No, you were absolutely right. You were absolutely right. Alberto gets the visual win after a sidekick hits the ref, knocks him down. Alberto gets the visual win with the armbar submission. No one can call it, of course. They brawl on. Alberto is doing the draping armbar as he is leaning on the ropes, Tajiri Tarantula style. And again, there's no ref there, so it's like you're doing all the damage, man, but you can't win right now, and it sucks. And that's when, and I forgot this existed, Melina Perez shows up, grabs the AAA Mega Championship, hits Berto in the head with it. Johnny hits Fin de Mundo, or End of the World, and Marty Elias wakes up just in time to count the pin.
That's the part I forgot. I kept thinking Patron won this match.
Yeah.
And I can admit when I was wrong, so I was wrong all season. I remembered this. I remembered her. I did remember her interfering, but I could have sworn, like I'm convinced that time travels went back in time and it changed the timeline, because I could have sworn that Patron won.
Wrong.
It's
a Mandela effect. You came in from another timeline.
This definitely feels like it, bro. Like I could have sworn that Patron won, but they gave him the visual win. They gave him like 2 visual wins at least. Mm-hmm. But they gave Mundo was able to outsmart him and win, and Patron still comes out looking strong.
Oh yeah, because of the aftermath.
Because he beats the shit out of him.
He does. He beats the. I wrote down tar, but yes, shit also works.
Well, he threw.
He throws him through the door.
Dude, how about that blade job?
Yeah, good job. Good job, Johnny. And something that, like, given what we know about Berto now, and this is like something that belonged in the time capsule of like 1998 and not 2015. Berto bending Melina over his knee and spanking her.
Yeah, they could have had another girl come out and attack Melina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was very Attitude Era.
Yes.
Very Attitude Era. And it was good. I enjoyed it.
I did as well. After we had a commercial after that, or at least I assume that we did in the original telecast. Anyway, after that, El Dragon Azteca shows up to the prison, and I think he's going to get Black Lotus out when Dario Cueto comes up, and Dario says, "You broke the treaty." And what was the punishment for you breaking the treaty? And Azteca's like basically like begging. He's like, "Oh, don't kill me, Dario. Don't kill me." And Dario's like, "Hey, I'm not gonna have to." And Lotus grabs Azteca by the has him in a chokehold. Okay, pardon me. Has him in a chokehold. And I noticed as she's getting ready to strike him in the spine, I assume. Dario is like swinging his necklace. I was like, that's that's kind of funny, It's like a bored teenager at the mall at GameStop just swinging his lanyard.
He was very bored, but he was very successful. I mean, I asked the previous episode, I was like, what's his plan keeping her in prison the whole time? And that was it. He was trying to get Dragon Azteca to break the treaty so he could legally kill him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm assuming he could legally kill him, but he can kill him.
Yeah. Well, and here's another sign, by the way, that Dario Cueto is full of shit. Lotus is like, "I'm leaving. I did what I set out to do. I'm gone." And Cueto's like, no, you need to come with me. Like, you just killed a man. like, no, she can go out on the mend on her own.
Well, what he said was that she's an enemy of the Dragon Tribe now.
Yes.
And they would seek revenge. And he's right. I mean, she's not only gullible.
Yeah.
She's stupid.
Yes.
Like, just has no idea what's going on in the world. Like, she got into this to kill the murderer of her parents, but she didn't do any research to find out about the tribes involved because they're everywhere in the goddamn show.
Yes.
Right? And she literally was even
high, surrounded by people who are connected to the 7 Aztec tribes.
I mean, she didn't look into any of this. Like, Dragon Azteca was right. She was not ready. And that's probably why she was probably physically ready, but he's like, man, she's stupid. I gotta figure out how to explain this to her because she's just going to go get herself killed. And worse, she went and got tricked to work for the enemy. Yeah,
exactly. This is worse than when Simba gets tricked by Scar to run away.
Well, I don't know if you've ever watched, and that is very close. I don't know if you ever watched Battlestar Galactica.
Nope.
All right, well, there's one girl, I don't remember her name, but she went to go on the play in Hawaii Five-0, the remake. She's the Asian girl. She just changes sides on the show from humans to Cylons, so much that the other characters, the blonde girl even goes like, she's like, and they're asking the tall blonde girl in the red dress, they're like, do we know who she's working for? She's like, I don't know. It depends on what day it is. Like, they even joke about it. That's basically what's her name? Black Lotus. She's whoever talks to her last is the person that was able to convince her.
Yes, exactly. It's ridiculous. Like, she even got tricked by a Guerrero, dude.
She got tricked by everybody so far.
Yeah, ridiculous. I mean, Prince Puma kidnapped her.
She's a main storyline, but man, she is just a weak character.
This angle sucks, dude. Oh, by the way, Black Lotus is like, what are we going to do with him? And Dario Cueto's like, Matanza's coming with us.
Yeah, no match yet for this whole storyline.
Not yet. That's right. We're a season in. Matanza has been alluded to from episode 2 onward. By the way, this is the definition of slow build, man. Because we've been nearly a full season. To this point, never even seen Matanza.
Not yet, at least.
Nope, not yet. Up next, we had the Cerro Miedo match. Pentagon Jr. versus, almost said Papa Emeritus. It's actually Vampiro. Pentagon, by the way, he's wearing a lot of white here, which tells me he's going to bleed.
There's definitely blood in this whole encounter. And did you mention Vamp's entrance yet? Or did you get to it?
He stole the ghost gimmick.
Dude, not only did he steal the outfit, but the freaking logo, dude. The logo is just Ghost, but with a V instead of a G. I'm like, this guy has no shame, like zero shame. Dude, I doubt he got permission from Tobias, the singer from Ghost. I highly. I mean, I've been wrong. I admit.
But I bet, because again, this music is dubbed. I bet Vampiro even pulled some string. He's like, I'm gonna come out to Cerise, okay? Is that cool? Oh, it's not. I'm doing it anyway.
Dude, man, it actually makes my blood boil. Just
Ghost should never be associated with someone as lame as Ian Hodgkinson.
No, because my blood's boiling, man. I can't even articulate.
Yeah, I get you. This was a hardcore bloodbath, though. Absolutely a hardcore bloodbath.
Dude, the brawl style was completely ECW too. Like a few punches exchanged, wandering around. Like newer fans might not see that very often, but like, you know what I mean? Like someone exchanges a punch, someone walks away, but they follow them. Like it's a standing brawl through and throughout the bleachers.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Did you notice the big kibosh when Pentagon was hip tossed into the light tube?
I might have. I think I'd kind of tune this guy out sometimes because I was into these matches.
I said the big kibosh just to mock him. But yeah, that hip toss into the light tube, that was amazing.
Well, that was the first exchange that Vampiro started winning, because for the first 10 minutes, it was just Vamp getting hit with chairs. They even did a ref stoppage with the fake X that the refs do, and they put him on a stretcher. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to be honest, that was lame. I hate when they do the fake X, because it's like, come on, some things are sacred.
I actually 100% agree with that, because I think it's a lame attempt to get heat. I get it. I get where they're coming from when they do it, but it's still lame. And Vamp gets stretchered out on a gurney, and then he beats up the paramedics that were just trying to save him.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's such a douchebag. Like, he beats them up. He gets back in the ring. He starts losing again. But then he starts getting... This is the first sequence he starts winning when he hip tosses Penta into a light tube. And then he smashes a light tube over Penta's head as well.
Yeah. That was the big kibosh right there. At some point, like, Pentagon's mask starts getting ripped. He's not even wearing it anymore. Like, yes, it's technically on his head, but you can see his face, albeit covered in blood. He's wearing the crimson mask. He's not even wearing his Lucha mask throughout most of the finish.
No, Vamp immediately goes to rip that off. I'm not sure if that's before the thumbtack spot or after. Dude, there was one point where I think Vamp does a dive, and there's just so much broken light tube glass and thumbtacks that it just keeps, like, everything keeps bouncing up off the ring.
Yeah.
When they hit it, do they fake those? They gotta fake those light tubes, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
I don't, because they gotta. I mean, they definitely do, because there's no way.
Cancer.
What's that?
Don't those cause cancer?
I mean, everything causes cancer, but like it's mercury, right?
Okay.
So it would, like, if it gets in, like, they're bleeding, and if it gets in your blood, I would imagine you die.
Yeah, you would think so.
I mean, I know. I think I saw Psycho Clown in AAA. Like, he was biting and chewing on light tubes, and it's just got to be fake, bro.
You would think so, yeah. You would think so. At one point, we get a "holy shit" chant, and this is when Mike Schiavello chimes in. Holy fecal matter. I'm not even doing an accent here. Holy fecal matter, indeed.
Yeah, I might have tuned that out. That's awful.
I can't say I blame you. That is pretty bad. And he does have a pretty good call, though, because he refers to Vampiro as like a demented Picasso. He
does, and he does have a distorted view of the world. I will agree there.
Yeah.
I mean, this match was just seeing how much pain and punishment Vampiro is stubborn enough to take at his age.
Look, and this may be uncomfortable for some people, but what I saw on Tubi, what you saw on your DVD or on Amazon, whatever you bought this on, is not what the believers saw in the temple. And the fact that the believers were so hot for this match throughout, into the finish, because supposedly this went like twice as long as what we saw, because Vampiro went into business for himself. What a shock. And apparently that was awful from what I hear.
Yeah, I think he said it was 40 minutes long and they had a lot of stoppages and they had to redo things. But I can completely, and that was from Vamp's point of view, but I can definitely see him going into business for himself. And he did have some good spots that they kept. Like he did a running, spinning wheel kick, which was great. He did a Uranagi, that was great. He did I don't remember what the dive was. Do you remember what the dive was?
I can't place it right now, man.
I think it was just like it was like a flipping dive.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of senton. Flipping senton, I want to say, but he did good. It was a good match for Vamp for his age, and he was not in the best shape at the time.
No.
But he did that spinning wheel kick very fluidly. Like that was really good, and you don't really see many people doing a spinning wheel kick. But it was a good match. It was a good match, and I love the finish. He went back in time, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to show AEW how you do an explosion, how you use fire. And Pentagon lights him on fire, and he rolls to the opposite side of the ring than the person with the extinguisher.
Yeah.
So Vamp's on fire for probably longer than he needed to be.
So Pentagon, the table gets lit on fire by Vampiro, and then Pentagon hits, I believe, a Uranagi on him.
Yes, I think you're right.
That goes through the table. And yeah, Vamp was on fire for like a solid 6 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, and he had some insulated clothes on, but not a lot, I don't think. And I mean that person with the fire extinguisher was just, I don't know what the miscommunication was, but he was just slow to get to the other side. They should have had 2 people.
Yeah, absolutely.
If not 4.
But that Uranage, that was enough for Pentagon to get the win. And at this point, Pentagon has won the match, and he's wondering, Maestro, where are you? Where are you? And the whole time, Vampiro's in the background yelling, break it, break it, break it, motherfucker. And Pentagon's just ignoring Vampiro. He's like, I beat him. What the hell no, we're good. I made the sacrifice. And, wait. Okay.
He does break the arm, yeah.
He does break the arm, and that's when Pentagon's like, okay, I've made the sacrifice. Where are you? And then all of a sudden, Vampiro gets up, and he says, you know what? Let me tell you something. As your teacher, as your master, let me tell you. And he drags this out, and he does it so perfectly because he says, as your teacher, and the whole crowd's like, what?
Yeah, I remember predicting that. I was like, watch this whole as soon as the match started, I was like, watch this be Vampiro as the teacher. I was like, that'd probably be like a good twist, swerve. But the audience loved it.
When someone pitched it to me when this was first airing, I was like, that sounds like some late 2000s Shyamalan bullshit, and it sounds awful. And then that's what we got, and it was amazing. And my first reaction when Vampiro was revealed as the master was goosebumps, and not shock, but a lot of goosebumps and excitement. And my reaction when he says, "You're ready, my son," goosebumps. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know where this came from. This was completely involuntary. I teared up a little.
I mean, it was a very emotional spot, and it was a highlight. It was the pinnacle of Pentagon's whole arc in this episode was, can he be violent enough, to be a dominant force? And here he is destroying, lighting a man on fire that used to be an icon, showing no mercy. I mean, he had ascended at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And the highlight of the crowd reactions, if you remember the streak breaking at WrestleMania 30, you remember the black guy with the glasses and the shocked look on his face, I'm assuming?
Yeah, there was some of that.
There was a blonde-haired girl, and she is like mouthing, "What?"
Yeah, this was a great moment. It's hard to go into detail, but it was a very pinnacle part of Pentagon's career.
And look, this is no shade on the rest of the show. This match, or what we got anyway, in the moment after the match, this was the highlight of this episode.
You could say it was the heart of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Easily.
And, it's funny because, we've done 3 matches. We've discussed a lot of content. But this is a 2-hour show. And the way they blocked this show, because they did Johnny versus Alberto, hot opener. Could have been a main event, but whatever. They did some vignettes, and they did the Cerro Miedo match. And that took up 43 minutes of the hour and a half on Tubi. And that tells me they blocked this show as though it was 2 separate hours, even though it was one show.
Oh, definitely. They definitely did book it that way. And unfortunately, this show does get held back by, I want to say, 2 matches that didn't really need to be on it. I know that's a little controversial, but because one of them is a good match, but it really should have been kind of on one of the episodes before. Remember the episodes that were dragging, that were just like D's? This could have been easily on one of those shows and saved it.
Yes, absolutely. Are you talking about the Gift of the Gods 7-way match?
Yes, because it was a good match, but it was just it had too much indie rific stuff in it for it to be a pay-per-view show.
And again, it's one of those, like, this was one episode, but it felt like 2 separate episodes the way they blocked it, because this did feel like something you put on to be a hot opener.
Exactly, yep. And they did need to kind of change the momentum after the previous match. They needed some energy. Mm-hmm. But then they immediately kill that energy.
Yeah.
What can you do? They did the best they could. They started some stories. They needed to wrap them up. I don't know. What else can I say?
Mike Schiavello had a good line about Big Rick when he said, Big Rick, what can I say about the guy? He gets the munchies and the entire farming industry goes out of business.
I mean, he is a big fucking dude.
Yeah. And he was wearing tights tonight, by the way. So again, it's one of those, it's WrestleMania syndrome. This is the big show. We're busting out new gear.
He looked weird in it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely didn't look like Zeke,
No, it was a little too late. And I think this was supposed to be a major character thing, like where Dario was like, I want you to be, a champion and make money.
To be like you were when you beat Christian on last ECW.
Yeah, and it was a little too late because his arc has been all over the place. Mm-hmm. He's been like the big show of the season.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And he got a lot of offense in here. And the thing about this 7-way is everyone got some shine or a hope spot or something. No one felt tacked on in this. Like even Bengala, he got some hope spots in there. He even hoofed Sexy Star.
I mean, there was a lot of stories they tied back to. They tied back to Aerostar versus Jack Evans. And even Jack Evans even controlled the match for the last third of it, I want to say. Like, it was all him getting people, and he had someone in an octopus stretch. He had someone in the front face guillotine.
He goes for a dive on Big Rick, and as he's diving, he yells, "Bold new champion."
Dude, Jack Evans is great.
He is amazing, and he's great in person. I actually met him in person. I've said this before on the air. WrestleCon 2016.
His style of wrestling is fantastic.
He gave me shit for my Niners hat because he's from Seattle. Oh my gosh. I don't know why this popped me in particular, but Jack Evans goes to do a step-up kick on Phoenix, who was holding someone at the time, and Phoenix ducks him. No. Phoenix was being held by someone, and Phoenix ducks him, and it just popped me for some reason. It was like, of course this would happen to Jack Evans.
I mean, and I guess we forgot to mention all the people that are in it. We got...
It's a 7-way. We have Big Rick, King Cuerno, Jack Evans, Bengala, Sexy Star, Aerostar, and Phoenix.
And it was a good match. I mean, everyone had their spots. Everyone had their moments. Mm-hmm. The first third of it was all Big Rick controlling it.
Yeah.
With a few spots from Bengala. Yeah. There was a few spots, even though I knew the outcome, I was like, oh crap, is he going to win? And I forgot because there was a lot of moments. Bengala had them, and so did Jack Evans.
Big Rick had, we thought he was going to win until Daivari shows up. And Daivari essentially eliminates Big Rick from the match. And for what it's worth, I don't believe either guy is going to be on next season. And Big Rick, this is actually the last we're going to see of him on the show.
Now here's a question for you. Did they already break up as a partnership in the previous episodes? Because this was kind of out of the blue for me. I was like, oh, they're not.
Oh yeah, I believe Big Rick went out on his own.
Was there like a big fight? I don't remember.
Not that I can recall.
Okay, so it was just out of the blue.
Yeah, exactly.
So they had to get Rick out of the way, and they couldn't think of a better way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But the finish of the match comes when Phoenix hits. Oh, by the way, Sexy Star was alone in the ring at one point, and Marty the Moth shows up. And Marty runs in, and Sexy disposes of him very quickly.
I mean, they weren't going to give her the win, so they had to give her something to make her look strong. And they did succeed with most characters.
And by the way, when this was being filmed, Lucha Underground hadn't been renewed. So we didn't know that there was going to be a second season.
Every season we didn't know if there was going to be a next season, to be fair.
There may be a fifth season that just hasn't been. Kidding.
It's very true.
It'll be on MLW.
There was a spot where Cuerno had Sexy Star beat, but he decided not to pin her, and he focuses on Phoenix because he wanted to. And this made him strong. Even if it did hurt her a little bit, I mean, she was down. Yeah. It didn't hurt her too much, but he wanted to go for Phoenix. He wanted the bigger prize, so that made him look strong because he had it won, but he decided no, this isn't enough. But he gets, I think, with a combination of Jack Evans and a few other people, he gets taken out. And it comes down to Phoenix and Jack Evans. Dude, are you ready for me to go into the finish? Because I love the finish.
Feel free, brother. Feel free.
Phoenix gets Jack Evans on his shoulders like a fireman carry, but then he starts kneeing Jack in the head with his other knee as he's holding him. And then he does a Fire Thunder driver and basically kills him for the pin.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Phoenix hits the fire driver, and Phoenix has won the gift of the gods.
Great match. I mean, Phoenix did deserve it. And I think if this if they got rid of the next match, I think this match would have stood out a little bit better.
Yeah, I would think so. Next match, nothing much to report here. Tejano, whole ass cowboy, God love him, but he's stuck in here with Blue Demon. And by the way, Tejano was wearing the black hat, and he had the bull rope, and he had the black tights, white boots. Crisp look, man. Mexican Triple H. I dig it.
Very much.
The crew come out alongside Blue Demon, Cisco and Castro, and they are wearing blue suits, blue ties, man. They're Crips now.
They got a blue bandana on Mr. Cisco.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but when Blue Demon hands Melissa Santos a card, the envelope's blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it was that note that was saying like, oh, this is now an anything goes match, I believe.
Due to Blue Demon's legendary status, for what it's worth.
I mean, I think if Blue Demon had shown up, if they had done this twist earlier in the season, it would have been better because it's actually not a bad angle, and it is kind of fun.
It's fine, but again, you could tell this was a backup angle. Chavo couldn't work, so they're just like, we'll just turn Damon.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because of situations. I mean, I love the aesthetics of the blue, the suits with the blue tie and the bandana and the blue card. The only thing they missed out was there was a kendo stick used at one point, and that could have been blue. Yeah,
that would have been nice. Or like the tape could have been blue at least.
Anything like it would have been. Yeah. They should have gone overboard with it and had him be like kind of like how Kenny is, where he's just full of himself right now.
Yeah.
And it suffered. I mean, do you just want to blow through this because there's really not much to say about this match?
No, it was basically a 3-on-1 match. Tejano did what he could, and it was 3-on-1. Nothing much he could do. Chavo eventually runs in with the chair, and it's like, oh my God, is Chavo going to get revenge on Damon? And then, of course not.
Chavo. I mean, the people in the audience were genuinely shocked when Chavo turned on.
Why? He's a Guerrero. He was never aligned with him.
Yeah, exactly. He was never ever aligned with Tejano, and it was the most obvious, thing ever. It was like, you remember when Rollins turned on the Shield?
That was a genuine surprise. Yeah.
I mean that was more of a surprise. I mean, as you saw him back up, you're like, wait a minute.
That's the thing. Like, you saw him back up, you had like 3 seconds to process the thing, and like one guy figured it out like right before he hit Ambrose or no Roman with the chair. Because you go back and you watch, and there's one guy that yells no.
Yeah, this was different. This was you could tell from like the angle he was at.
This was like the exact opposite of that.
It was bad. I mean, it's a shame.
4-on-1. Chavo hits Tejano with the chair. Chavo then gives the chair to Blue Demon, who basically slaps Tejano with the chair.
Tejano took one for the team. He never gets his momentum back.
No.
His spot on the card. I mean, unfortunately, this hurt him. They tried to throw him a few bones later, but damage is done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Blue Demon gets the win, and oh my God, the Guerreros and the Demon family are united, and this is the last we see of Blue Demon.
Yeah, this they could have spent more time explaining or showing the history, like maybe show clips of old matches of them betraying each other. There's so much they could have done, and they were just hoping on people being smart marks, which is fine, but there's a limit to like, and Muzza, if you're listening to this isn't an insult, but there's people that are fans like me, and then there's people that have his kind of time where Muzza watches like every goddamn promotion, right?
Twice.
And then or even the young boy Josh, like he'll start talking about a match from like '83 in a cage match in a certain that was untelevised that he knows about. Like this, there's fans like that, and then there's other people that are going to be like, I don't know what's significant about this.
Yeah, and then there's guys like me who's like, I like wrestling and I watch, what I can, but I also like Braves baseball, and like 6 months out of the year, that's what I'm going to be watching.
Yeah, they failed on a front because they I mean, I don't know how at that time they would still imagine that smart marks would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's like, even when you just have a hardcore fan base, that's still like only like 10% of your base.
Yeah. And the thing with this angle here and the Blue Demon and Chavo standing side by side, it's like you could tell they had a plan, but they didn't get these guys under a long-term contract. I think Blue Demon actually retired like right after this was done filming. Big Rick, same thing. So it's like, you could do something interesting, I guess, in the next season, but you don't have the talent to come back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they needed to think about, based on the contracts, they kind of signed like 7-year contracts.
They should, invest in the guys that are going to come back next season.
And make it so they can financially afford to do so, right?
Yeah.
Or make it just so it's a 1-year contract so you can write the show as is and just and after it's done, be like, hey, do you want to come back and we can keep doing this? That way you have a show that's wrapped up, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not waiting for so you know what I mean? Because so many things are left on the table. Like Big Rick is not coming back, Blue Demon's not coming back, Alberto's not coming back. There's just so many things they hyped up so much that you're never going to get closure for.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
And in the crossfire, you hurt Tejano. Mundo wasn't hurt as bad as I originally thought, so I was wrong about that, but he could have been hurt worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So next up, we had our main event of the evening. This was for the Lucha Underground Championship, and for what it's worth, there must be a winner. This is Prince Puma defending the Lucha Underground Championship against Mil Muertos. And look, before we get started, okay, obvious statement of the century. Carly Perez is a beautiful woman. She was looking amazing on this episode. Am I wrong?
I mean, if you said that about any episode, you wouldn't be wrong.
Especially amazing this week.
She was looking good. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now that that's out of the way, the story of this match was basically just Prince Puma fighting from underneath, getting manhandled a lot. You could tell he was in over his head, and he may have done better if Conan was there, but Conan's gone now. There's like Prince Puma he's a kitty on his own, walking about the Boyle Heights streets,
You're completely right, but you know what? I think this made him look stronger.
Yeah.
because he was on his own. And these two guys, they had amazing chemistry in this match. Like they just have Puma and Mill are great in the ring together. I mean, they start out brawling in the bleachers, just going back and forth, exchanging blows, Irish whipping one person into the wall, Irish whipping one person to the wooden chairs. It was really good. One of my favorite spots was they're outside the ring, right? And Puma whips Mil Muertes into like the table or the chairs or something, and they're outside. Puma runs, jumps, and kicks off of the ring post above the ring and hits Mil Muertes with a rider kick.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then when they're in the ring, they do another spot where Puma's running by him like with a drive-by RKO, but he doesn't land it, and Puma gets him in, or Mil Muertes gets him in a German suplex and does a release German suplex. Puma flips, like they do that flip in the air, lands on his feet, and then does a double stomp onto Mil.
Amazing. Gosh, the chemistry here, and I'm sure they practice certain spots, but the chemistry here was just amazing. And Mil Muertes, oh my God, the go-to kick, Prince Puma leapfrogging a spear, which makes Mil Muertes shoulder tackle a chair.
It was great.
Oh my God, great stuff. Muertes, and this is tell you, Ultima Lucha, translated, final fight. So this is going to be epic. Mil Muertes kicks out of the 630. That's not enough. So Prince Puma's he's like, I got to go up for the second one. But then Katrina lifts the stone. Mil Muertes gets out of the way of the second attempt at the 630. He hits a spear and then a flatliner. And I was like, well, that's it. And then Prince Puma kicks out of the flatliner. That's the first time we've seen either of these finishers be kicked out of.
Very true. And I don't know if you noticed this, but when Puma did the 630 the first time, Katrina wasn't holding the rock up. She was genuinely surprised when Mil kicked out.
I was, I watched Katrina very closely on these finisher sequences. I was like, why is she not holding the stone? But okay.
I think that tied back to the original Phoenix fight where she let Phoenix basically kill Mil Muertes, because he was remember, he was choking her, he was attacking her, like he was fighting back, and I think she needed to kill his humanity left so she had more control over him.
Yeah,
because he's stronger than he realizes, and she notices that, and she thinks he's a threat. So I think she was genuinely taken aback that he was able to kick out from that.
Yeah, absolutely. But Mil Muertes, again, okay. Flatliner gets kicked out of, which is insane. They brawl around for a little bit longer. Prince Puma goes up to the top. Mil Muertes sprints and runs up top to close the distance, hits a top rope flatliner. We have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 3. Mil Muertes is the new Lucha Underground champion.
Dude, he ran up that bitch like Kurt Angle used to do that. Remember?
Yeah, exactly.
It was the most agility you'll ever see Mil have.
Absolutely, dude. Just insane. And now, after that, Katrina's holding up the stone, celebrating with Mil Muertes, and the trios champions, the Disciples of Death, Trece, Barro Negro, and
Sinestro de
la Muerte. Yep. All come in the ring, and they're holding on all the gold. And it's like Evolution in late 2003, except that in this version of Evolution, everyone sucks except Katrina and Triple H.
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, they're kind of they're a placeholder.
Yeah, for sure.
Trios team. Definitely there to hold the belts until someone better comes along.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was not the end of the show, because this is the season finale. And we have a lot of vignettes here of people, leaving the temple one way or another. First thing we have here is Lotus and Dario Cueto leaving in haste. And by the way, Dario Cueto leaving in such haste that he almost leaves the Toro behind, but he does not.
No, and I was actually wondering, do you think they had a sponsorship of Red Bull?
I don't think so, but I think they certainly
missed opportunity.
I think they made the effort.
But yeah, that Red Bull is very important, so pay attention to that next season.
Absolutely. It is very important. The Toro Rojo, for those of you who are cultured and speak Spanish like I do, we actually see Matanza's eyes for the first time.
That is correct. You see him leaning outside of his, like, I think they have him in a horse carriage. Like
he's in a trailer, yeah.
Yeah, horse trailer.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't know if he's like used his hands or something, but he somehow tore a hole in the trailer to where you see his eyes.
Dude, how funny would it be if someone did that? Like on Halloween, someone drove around in a horse trailer and there was like a Matanza guy with a mask, like Matanza, like leaning out, like just blood's oozing out of the cell occasionally. Like, how crazy would that look?
That would be amazing. Oh my gosh. Phoenix drives off in a sick Trans Am holding the Gift of the Gods championship.
He leaves in a, I think it was a Firebird, right?
Firebird, yes sir. Yes sir.
Yeah, I'm not much of a car guy, but the Phoenix logo on the car kind of
way, yeah. Marty the Moth has kidnapped.
Don't forget who followed Phoenix.
Who was behind you? Oh, Cuerno. Yes, Cuerno in the truck, dude.
He was stuck. He had the lights off until Phoenix left, and then he followed him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, we've got continuation there from the Gift of the Gods match. Marty the Moth has kidnapped Sexy Star, and this was when we realized, oh, that harmless goof, he's not so harmless anymore.
No, he kidnapped the woman.
Yeah. And he was basically living out his Arthur Fleck, we're living in a society moment. Yeah,
we got to hope that no one finds out, because he's going to get Me Too'd off of AEW if anyone finds out what he did to Sexy Star.
Oh, God. Well, since it's Sexy Star, they might let it slide, but
that's true. Maybe. We'll see.
Marty's like, you think I'm a joke, but you're not going to be laughing when you meet my sister. So we have got a teaser for a new character to show up in season 2. That's exciting. That's not the only one, though. We'll talk about that in a second. Next, we see the former Trios champions of Angelico, Son of Havoc, and they're talking. And Son of Havoc's like, hey, man, we're going to get those titles back. And Angelico's like, hell yeah. And Angelico rides off on his bike. Son of Havoc puts on his helmet and he says, like, how about one more for the road? And Evil Ace is like, shut up. And Son of Havoc rides on the back of the bike, or as some may say, not me, but some may say, he rides bitch.
I'd say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Evil Ace's personality is just sandpaper to your eyes. Like, it's just like, there's a point where it's too much.
How could someone so beautiful be so ugly on the inside?
Well, it's just like that personality. You could be as beautiful as you want. It's just like, I don't know how many, like, whoever the demographic is you're going for, guys or girls, like, who likes somebody that's that just abrasive, that caustic? It's just like, ugh.
Only other people that are that abrasive.
Okay, but yeah, I could see that, because there's no way a normal person's like, oh man, she's so cool. Like, she treats everyone like shit, and she can't wrestle because her leg's broken. Man, she's the best.
Like a woman, pardon me, I don't want to. Okay, look, it's like the type of woman that reads Gary V and like gets the be a bitch lesson out of it,
Gary V.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
You might have to explain that one to me off the air.
Motivational speaker and hack.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely someone that gets the attitude of, like, I'll say it like this. It's the type of guy that's told, you got to be more manly, and decides, oh, I'm going to be an asshole. Or someone that's like, I got to have more, masculinity, more get-go, more, I got to have more going for me. And he goes, you know what? That means, or girls like guys that are a little bit more tough. They go, oh, that means girls like guys that are assholes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of energy this is.
I was gonna say, yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't want to be a simp, you don't want to be a beta, but like the other way, going hard the other way is not the answer.
Exactly. Just be yourself, folks, man. Go out there, do your very best, and just be a man's man, whatever that means. I don't know. Not what Gary thinks.
Be nice, be respectful, but don't be a pushover. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Stand your ground, dude.
That's enough about big boy Matt Cross.
Yep, big boy voice, Matt Cross. Oh man, remember when I broke your brain earlier on, like 4 months ago, dude?
Probably not.
Good times, man. Good times. This has been a wild ride, and I'm glad we get to do it for 3 more seasons.
Is there 3 more? Yeah, that's right, 4.
Yeah. So after the scene with the former trios champions, Drago and Aerostar, they're doing the man handshake from. Is that from Predator?
Yes, sir.
With Carl Weathers and Arnold.
Yes, sir.
The arm grip handshake, the forearm handshake.
Yep,
And,
the flex.
Yes. And Drago's like, "I'll see you again," blah blah blah, and his voice is like, this is like big boy voice with a demon as well.
And he goes, "You son of a bitch," and he gives him the handshake.
That's great.
I can't do Arnold's accent, but
so they both leave, but it's interesting how they leave because Drago
flushes himself down a toilet.
We've been told Drago is a dragon, and here's your fucking proof: he leaves through fire.
And our Aerostar
ascends into the heavens.
Yeah, Aerostar is a challenging character. The more lore you learn about him.
Yeah. Fucking wild. This show is wild, bro.
And we do cut to Pentagon and
Pentagon says, "Where are we going?" And Vampiro says, "To a much darker place."
It's just such a fucking poser, bro. I can't.
Yeah. Dude, that's one thing, like, in retrospect, and we'll talk about it, but like the character who surprised me the most and how much better he is than I remembered upon rewatch was Hernandez. The character who did just the opposite was Vampiro.
Yeah. The opposite. Yeah. If we're looking back on the things, I was wrong about Alberto. He turned around in my eyes too. I was really disappointed in Penta the first season.
Yeah.
Because he was just kind of like, I don't know, man. Conan held him back, and it shouldn't have worked that way. Because Conan I like and respect.
You mean Puma?
Who did I say?
Penta.
Yeah, I meant to say Puma. Puma. I mean, not his best match, but like his best match was against Johnny Mundo. Yeah, all night long.
Mm-hmm.
But he just they should have took the training wheels off earlier with Conan.
Yeah.
It turned the cage feud turned into Conan's feud, not Puma's, as you said. Yeah. You said before, and you were right. There's not too many people that really surprised me other than that, though.
That's fair enough.
Hernandez, you were right. He completely surprised both of us. Like we're Hernandez fans now.
Yes, we are.
He doesn't come back.
No, he doesn't, and that's the shame. Okay, the one of the last things we see is El Dragon Azteca Jr. He is drawing graffiti on the Lucha Underground billboard. And what does he draw, Greg?
A question mark. Punctuation. Wonder what that alludes to.
Could that mean what I think it means?
Well, it does. But
let the people find out when whatever happens.
But they get to wait a lot less longer than we had to originally.
Yeah,
because they can either Google it or they can wait till we come back.
I was gonna say, yeah, guys, don't spoil it for yourselves. If you've made it through this first season without spoiling anything, don't spoil anything at this point. Like, just ride with us. It's gonna be a month and we'll be back. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think we felt we deserved a little bit of a break. We haven't missed a day.
Nope.
We've been consistent.
No days off. That's us, man.
Except for this month.
This month we're taking.
Yeah. Aside from that.
And yeah, but aside from that, but that's not the last thing we see. The last thing we see is Dario Cueto. I don't know, somewhere. Lights are turning off, but there's a red light, and it's just Dario Cueto with a sly smirk, looking as evil can be.
Oh yeah, all the lights are going off, and it's just a red light behind him, signifying he's the devil.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that confused me about the ending is that him and I don't know if maybe you mentioned it. Him and Black Lotus, they're leaving.
Yeah.
Because he says we have to leave the temple now.
Yeah.
And, I would say we know why, but frankly, do we? Do we know why he had to leave?
Who knows, dude?
Like he has to leave now. And you'll find out the sort of reason why when season 2 starts, which is awesome. But it's still kind of like, okay, if you say so.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, man. And we get a to be continued. And, folks, that's the show.
What are we grading this one?
I am going to give this an A.
I'm in the same boat. It's a shame because if it didn't have
the Tejano stuff,
if it didn't have that, I think even with the Gift of the Gods match, it could have been an S.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Folks, you can listen to us almost every Thursday. Let me take a look at the calendar real quick. See when we are going to return.
Well, it's not set in stone right yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what day did we were shooting for?
Well, you know what? I don't think it's a big deal if we say, hey, our next episode, season 2, episode 1, is going to drop on July 1st.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
That's 5 weeks. That's 4 weeks without us.
That's good.
I think the people, I don't think that's too long for anyone to forget about us, but I think it's long enough for people to yearn for us again, Yeah,
and we may, no guarantees, but we might put out a small teaser episode just talking about the podcast itself.
Mm-hmm.
I know I pitched that idea.
We may get a little bit inside baseball as well.
It wouldn't be me doing much talking.
No, not literal baseball, but you've heard the slang term inside baseball, I assume.
Apparently not.
Well, like you'd kind of said, basically like the creation of the podcast.
Okay.
What kind of friendship that we have, that kind of thing. Not going to bore you guys for forever, but guys, there are plenty of other great shows on this network while we are gone. None as great as us, of course. We are your favorite wrestling podcasters' favorite wrestling podcast. But you can check out the other great shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
I can run through them, I think.
Hold on. Man, dude, I am so
unprofessional,
but I'm also so ready to get back to the theater. And I'm actually going on Thursday, man. I'm excited.
I need everyone else to start going to the theater, so my AMC stock will go to the moon.
To the moon. I actually have a Regal membership.
Nice. Well, you're dead to me now.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just the closest AMC to me only runs 3 days a week.
That's stupid.
Yeah, it's because it's in a suburb and not in an actual metro area. So, anyway, folks, there are other great shows here on the network you can listen to while we are gone for the month of June. These shows include, if you like Impact Wrestling and video games, listen to the 8-Bit Suplex podcast hosted by Josh McLaughlin, Heel Josh number 2, and sometimes Shooter Santos, Sandy Gaviria. You can also listen to, if you like AEW, you could listen to All Things Elite, hosted by Floyd Johnson Jr. and Austin Summerwitz. If you want to listen to DJ Cooks talk about great matches, I implore you to listen to the Great Match Generator. That is exactly what it sounds like. Independent wrestling fans, check out Grown Men Watch This Shit, hosted by Chris Thangs and James Vanderbeek of Dawson's Creek.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Keeping It Strong Style is based around New Japan. That is hosted by Jeremy Donovan and the young boy, Hill Josh number 1, Josh Smith. 2 more shows here. First off, the first show on the network, the OG of the network. We're talking about One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. That's WWE, that's AEW, that's everything under the sun you can think of, including politics and music and pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Last, definitely not least, my two Scottish friends. They put out great content week after week. Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. That is the lineup here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. You know, we talk about how we're the best show. We're the true ace of podcasts. We're all these things. But Rich, if you're listening and you haven't fallen asleep yet, thank you. And thank you, Jeremy. And thank you, everyone here at the network, for giving us this platform to go back and have an excuse to watch Lucha Underground again and get to talk about it with another like-minded individual. This has been a great time. Wouldn't you agree?
I would definitely agree. And I got to say, make sure you come back for when our first episode drops for season 2. Because if you don't,
I will be tweeting all about it, by the way.
Good. And because if you don't tune in and you miss it, there will be grave consequences.